Welcome to my channel. Today's short YouTube video is about how to change your oil on a 1999 Mazda Miata. Before you begin any oil change, it's important to gather together everything you need to complete this job. Here you're going to need 4.1 quarts of oil, specifically 5 weight 30 or 10 weight 30 for this engine. Don't forget to get an oil filter for it as well. Also, I'll have pictured some accessories you'll need to complete this job. Well, not necessarily need, but very helpful tools. One being a oil filter clamp. We also have a oil funnel and an oil pan to catch the oil. So let's get started, shall we? First thing you're going to want to do is drive around your car, around the block, just until the oil gets hot or warm, so that it'll become easier for the oil to drain out. Once you've done that, you park your car. Be sure to put on the handbrake. Don't forget to put some chocks in the back wheels as an additional safety measure to prevent the car from rolling back once you have it hoisted into the air. As you can see here, I'm struggling to open the oil cap. It's a little hot, so I use that rag so I don't burn my hand. And as you can see, it's loosened up. And then we're going to also remove the oil dipstick. Next move obviously will be to jack the car up. Obviously you want to look for the jacking points to put the jack under. Safety is always very important when changing your oil, or really whenever you get underneath your car. After we've hoisted it up in the air, I decided to go ahead and put a jack stand underneath the frame rail as an additional measure. Next up, you're going to use a 17mm wrench for this automobile to loosen the oil drain plug. Always use a wrench for this job. Do not use a power tool to remove the oil drain plug, as you could very easily damage the threads. Also, you like to use a vinyl glove because this oil can be hot once it hits your hands. What I do also is I take an old sock and cut the head off, or the part where the toes are, and then slide my arm through. Oil can get on your arm too, and it's not pleasant when it burns your skin. Well, let's not say it's going to cause a second-degree burn or anything like that, but it's going to be pretty hot. If you do this, try to do it also on a day that's not windy. Unfortunately, there have been days where I changed my oil when it was windy, and it gets all over the place. Oil can be quite messy. So just take a few minutes to let it drain, keep an eye on it. Grab a sip of your water, soda, beer. Well, it's up to you if you want to drink beer. However, I don't recommend it because you don't want to forget to take any steps. Obviously, you don't want to get drunk either. So once the oil has drained, the next step will be to remove the oil filter. Now, in this vehicle, it's a little bit difficult to access the oil filter. It's not on the bottom next to the oil pan as found in many vehicles. It's actually just below the exhaust manifold, which can be a little bit hot as well. In a moment, in a few seconds, I'm going to shift to a different camera angle and hopefully you can see the oil filter. But basically, it's a little bit hard to access. I couldn't even reach it in there with my right hand, so I had to use my left hand to loosen the oil filter. It's a matter of really just positioning the oil filter wrench in the right position just to loosen it up. Once you've loosened it up a little, then you can twist the rest of it off by hand. Here you can see the oil filter itself. It's that purple canister shaped object, and I'm trying to get a grip on it. Obviously in most, well, pretty much always, you're going to turn the filter counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, in order to loosen the oil filter. As soon as I loosened it enough, oil started to spill out from underneath the oil pan. There we have the oil filter. Now obviously before you put on the new filter, you want to make sure it matches the old one. When you go to the store, you're going to tell them the year of your vehicle, the year, model, and make, and they're going to grab the filter. Sometimes they'll walk over and grab it for you and send you on your way. Unfortunately, we're all human and we can make mistakes, and it's always going to suck whenever we come home with the wrong filter, because that means you have to go back to the store and get it. What I'm doing here now is something very important, which is to take some of the new oil and rub it onto the rubber part of that filter, the rubber seal. It's important to do that so that when you go to remove the filter 3 months, 3,500 miles from now, 3,000 miles from now, it'll come off easily. Otherwise, it can stick to it and become quite difficult to remove it off, or to remove it. What I'm also did there was pour some oil into the filter. When you put the filter back into place, obviously do it by hand and make sure that it threads on evenly. What you're going to do is turn it till it stops, and then turn it another quarter turn to make it snug. After you've done that, you can get back underneath your car and put on the oil drain plug. Again, you want to hand tighten it so as not to ruin the threads. And then you can take your wrench and turn it and make it snug. Now, you can check your manual and it should be listed in there as to how many foot-pounds you want to tighten it to if you do choose to use a torque wrench. I recommend using it just to always be on the safe side. Any professional would use one as well. As you can see now, I'm using my torque wrench. It says in the manual, or in the children's manual, that you can tighten it from 22 to 30 foot-pounds. When you use the torque wrench, you're going to hear a click telling you it's tightened to the appropriate tightness. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and lower your vehicle. Obviously, lower it slowly. And then when you're done with that, you're going to pour the oil in. Obviously, you want to use a oil funnel. Some people like to use a Coke bottle that they've cut off the bottom end. You can use that as well. Obviously dry it, because you don't want to have any kind of other fluids going into your engine. And just slowly pour your oil into your engine. What some people like to do is, and I would recommend this, is pour about, well, in this case I was using four bottles or 4 quarts. You can pour 3.5 quarts and then run the engine and then pour the rest of it. The idea is to get the oil circulating in the engine, and you're trying to be sure that you don't overfill your engine with engine oil. And obviously the last thing you want to do is dispose of your oil properly, pouring it into a container and taking the oil and the oil filter to your local auto shop, be it AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Checkers, Napa, and they'll gladly take it from you. I do hope you enjoy this video. Good luck out there, and I'll see you later.